So this is a very famous chapter. Like throughout the Bhagavad Gita, we talk about the modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, and then this particular one touches all of them. So let's get started with chapter text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan
Param Bhuyah
Param
Pravakshyami
Pravakshyami
Jnanam
Jnananam
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 Jnanam
Jnanam
Uttamam
Uttamam
Yajñatva
Yajnatva
Munayah
Munayaha
Sarve
Sarve
Param Siddhim
Param Siddhim
Ito Gataha.
Ito Gataha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." So Krishna is saying, I'll give you this supreme wisdom. Now he is again giving jnana, a little bit more jnana yoga, after having covered bhakti. Like first 6 chapters is considered the yoga ladder, middle 6 chapters, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are considered the bhakti yoga, and then he is continuing with some more jnana yoga. So that is what's mentioned here. From the 7th chapter to end of 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, that is himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he'll come to an understanding of devotional service. So this is more targeted to Gyanis. Gyanis are considered philosophical speculators. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. What is chapter 13? Anybody remember the name of chapter 13?
Nature, the enjoyer, and the consciousness.
Okay. Nature, enjoyer, and consciousness. Also known as what? Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. What is the difference between Kshetra, the body, and Kshetrajna, the two souls residing in the body? One soul is Jivatma, the second soul is Paramatma, soul and super soul. Yeah, so these two things are discussed in chapter 13. And by understanding those three parties, the body, the soul, and the super soul, one will gradually come to a point of material entanglement. Means we will relieve karma through jnana. Now, it has also been explained that it is due to association with modes of nature, living entities entangled in this material world. Because we are sometimes in ignorance, sometimes in passion, and sometimes in goodness, we continue to get associated with matter. In this chapter, Supreme Personality explains what those modes are. There's a little bit of introduction given, and now more information is given. How they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to knowledge given so far in other chapters. So this is advanced jnana. There's always jnana in other chapters, but this is more advanced. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained. And knowing this, many attained perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will be in perfection. So, Prabhupada says, if you want to be perfect, then go through this particular chapter. So, going on to the second verse. Idam jnanam
Idam jnanam
Jnanam
upashrityam
upasritya
mama sadharamyam
mama sadaramyam
agatah
agata
raha
sarge api
sargi
sarge api
nopajayante
nopajayante
pralayena
pralaya
pralayena
yatanti cha.
vyatanti cha.
By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. So Krishna is transcendental, and if we become fixed, we will attain to a similar state that Krishna is in. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So if you are that way established, then although we come into being at the time of creation and we get disturbed at the time of pralaya or dissolution, we won't be affected if you know that the three modes are driving us. Of course, not just theoretically knowing, but practically experiencing it. Okay, Sarvana, can you read the purport?
Yeah. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities.
Okay. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of material nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. The atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world.
Yeah, so the conclusion that Srila Prabhupada goes through is, if we develop the spiritual qualities, then we are not affected by creation or by destruction of the material world. and will not be affected by small things that happen once in a while, like Corona or 9/11 or those things also. They'll come and they'll go. Right now, like every newspaper, every channel, as if there is nothing else, they only talk about this. And everything is shut down, actually. So 10 minutes before the class, somebody declined the Bhagavad Gita class. They sent me a note. So what are they going to do? Decline the Bhagavad Gita class and doing what? They cannot go to the store. They cannot make money. They cannot do anything. All right? So that is also one type of ignorance. When there is an opportunity to learn about spiritual topics, if they ignore that, then who can save them? Nobody can save them. Right? Finding God online. Here is a news in CNN. People turn to live stream religious services during coronavirus pandemic. So anyhow, you cannot go to the temple or church or synagogue or whatever the case might be. So might as well do something a little bit online. If they cannot do that, then what will they do? Watch more of Saturday Night Live? Or, by the way, there are no audience for all these online TV shows anymore. People have stopped going to the TV stations to perform, to give support to the speakers, right? So there's only speaker talking. There is no audience, even within the TV station. So this is the state of affairs. People have become so foolish that they don't want to use the opportunity to even learn, right? So that's just a little segue I wanted to give for people to understand how foolish the world has become. At least online will do something valuable. So one does not lose his identity as an individual soul. Even after liberation, we don't lose our identity. We continue to do devotional service. And what do? Once people get liberated, they look at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in his loving service. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes. That's the subject of this chapter. What are those three modes? And we need to become freed from the material activities of material form. Those ignorance think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. No, there is variety in the material world, variegatedness, as Riya was talking about. But actually in spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form that is called Swarupa Siddhi. Rupa means our form. Swarupa means we'll get our original form. Right now we have different forms, like, people from different parts of the world, they may have their different forms. But this is spiritual form. And that atmosphere is uncontaminated by these three modes. The spiritual world or the spiritual form is uncontaminated by the three modes of material nature. Next one. Mama Yonir.
Mama Yonir.
Mahad Brahma.
Mahad Brahma.
Tasmin Garbham.
Tasmin Garbham.
Dadamyaham.
Dadamyaham.
Sambhavaha.
Sambhavaha.
Sarvabhutanam.
Sarvabhutanam.
Tato bhavati.
Tato
Bharatam.
Bharata.
By the way, how many days did Parikshit Maharaj have after being cursed by Shringi to live?
7.
7 days. Very good answer, Riya. And how many days will we have after we contract coronavirus? 14 days. Most people are dying after 14 days. And right now, America has how many cases? Anybody know?
1,200.
No,
It's in 3,000.
more than that. Go to Johns Hopkins University. 2,929. You see where my cursor is on the left?
Yes.
2,929. Previously, when I was 1 month ago, the center of the world was China, Wuhan, where they showed the cases. Now there are cases everywhere. So, God forbid, if somebody contracts corona, they have 14 days to live. Of course, some people are getting cured also. You see on the right side, people who have strong bodies. So in 14 days, we can read Srimad Bhagavatam and go back to Godhead. Any comments on that one? I remember when this number was 1. That person was in Everett, north of Seattle. There was only one person affected who traveled from China. And now that has grown to 2,929 in a month. And CDC, Center for Disease Control Atlanta, the officer was in one of the meetings. He said, every person will spread it to 5 people. So 2,929 times 5. Very shortly, you'll see 10,000, that number. And then 10,000, each person will spread it to 5 people. 50,000. Then 250,000. Unless, of course, summer comes and, the bug is halted in its tracks. Otherwise, it will just keep going. Everybody spreads it to 5 people. That is the reality of an outbreak. There is a difference between regular disease and an outbreak. Outbreak means people spread it rapidly. So that's where we are in right now, formally in an outbreak. So once people get it, 14 days. So 14 days, we can read Srimad Bhagavatam nicely, say bye-bye to this world and go back to our Father Krishna. Everybody have Srimad Bhagavatam at home?
Yes, bro.
If not, it is vedaways.com. Of course, not that it will happen to us, but it can happen to anybody. Right? Seattle has 500 cases now, 500 plus. How did that happen? It happened. That's it. It's spreading. You may think it's not, but it is. Okay. Sorry? Okay. So we covered the Sanskrit here, right? Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. Yonir means point of birth, Mahad Brahma. So from my Yoni comes everything, Krishna is saying, right? So because he's the seed-giving father. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth. And it is that Brahman that I impregnate. So Krishna is impregnating with his thought. It's called Kriya Shakti. All it does is it glances. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's stated in Brahma Samhita also. The Lord is just looking at Pradhan. And from Pradhan, all these different living entities start their journey. Living entities are already there, but unless there is the glance of the Supreme Lord, the living entities cannot come into being, making possible the births of all living beings. That's what Krishna is saying. Okay, Nag Prabhu, can you read?
Sure, Prabhu. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spirit soul. The combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahatattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation and the total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is something called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnated the total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. This total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature. Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.19. Tasmat ita Brahman Nama Rupa Anam cha Jaita. The Supreme Person impregnates the Brahman with the seeds of the living entity. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahma, or the great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this, there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays an egg in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of activities, as a different body created by the material nature. So that
Products of material nature. You skipped one line.
Thus, every living entity, according to his, the seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as product of material nature. Thus, giving every entity, according to his past activities, as a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material world.
So that is the sum and substance of this verse, right? To say that the Supreme Lord is cause of all manifestations. And for that, he gives a very common example. Like in India, people have these bags of rice in their kitchen so that, even if something happens, they can still survive for many months. They'll have a big bag of rice. And sometimes one mother scorpion will come and will lay some eggs in there. And when you go to pick up the rice, you'll see baby scorpions there. And people will say, oh, scorpions are born in my rice bag. No, but rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, the material nature where we are born is not the real cause. We are just born in the nature, but the seed is given by Supreme Lord, Krishna. That's why Krishna says elsewhere, Aham bija pradapitaha. I am the seed giving father, he says. So that's very important. Because he is giving the seed, we are able to move forward with our life. And he also says a few more things, like the 24 elements. This is again the Sankhya Yoga, which is given in 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam as well. 4th or 3rd, I'm getting mixed now. But anyways, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam where Kapila Muni addresses his mother, Devahuti, and he talks about these 24 elements. Bhumi apo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankaramiti yamme bhinna prakriti ashtada. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, these 8 things, ashtada, are bhinna prakriti. Means they are a separated energy, not swaprakriti, but bhinna prakriti. and also the Mahat Tattva is the cause of cosmic manifestation. So, when the Supreme Lord glances at the undifferentiated mass called Pradhan, then the Mahat Tattva comes into being. So, scientists say there is a big bang, it happened automatically. No, there is a Lord's glance. Without that Lord's glance, this is not possible. So that is where we struggle, right? Like one of the Swamis in ISKCON, he says, Indians are very skilled at compartmentalizing their thinking. When they come to the temple, they will talk of spiritual topics. And amongst their scientist colleagues or people who are science inclined, they will perfectly agree with the Big Bang theory and all that, right? So we are very adept and skilled at mixing with the crowd. Wherever we are, we go along with the flow. But that's not it. Truth is only one. You cannot have two truths. You may artificially compartmentalize in your mind, but there is only one truth. So that truth is, without the glance of the Lord, you cannot have material creation. And actually, the souls are not coming from material creation, but they are coming because the Lord is planting those seeds in matter. Just like the mother scorpion is planting its eggs in the rice bag. Okay, so that is the sum total of this verse. Sarvayonishu
Sarvayonishu
Kaunteya
Kaunteya
Murtayah
Murtayah
Sambhavantiyah
Sambhavantiyah
Tasmad Brahma.
Brahma
Sorry, not Tasmad. Tasam Brahma
Tasam Brahma
Mahadyonir
Mahadyonir
Aham Bija
Aham Bija
Pradah Pita.
Pradah Pita.
Yeah. So, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. There are so many yonis, millions and trillions and quadrillions. Murtaya Sambhavantiha, from which different people come out. Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir. I am the original Yonir because, actually, I am not the original Yonir. Material nature is the original Yonir, which is also an external energy of the Lord. And then Krishna is saying, I am providing the bija, means the seed. Without his giving the seed, we won't come into being. It's not like we came from monkeys or we came from single-celled amoeba. No, he is the seed-giving father. Srila Prabhupada liked this verse very much. He used to quote this many, many times. Sarva yonishu kauntaya murtaya sambhavantiyaha. Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapitaha. You can memorize this also. It will be good for your chapter 14 test. So Krishna is saying it should be understood that all species of life, not just humans, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. And that I am the seed-giving father. Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir. Okay. So Gayatri, can you read this purport?
Yes, Prabhuji. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original father of all living entities. The living entities are combination of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet but on every planet, even on the highest where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth, there are living entities, even within water and within fire. All these appearances are due to the mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purport is that material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds.
Yeah. So each one of us has some past deeds called karma, and each one of us has some desires. I want to do this, I want to do that. And then there is a supreme desire of the Lord, based on which, when the Lord glances into Pradhan, and again, this is a very detailed topic within Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a lot of explanation given, and even in Brahma Samhita, this explanation is given. We'll go there, Brahma Samhita, momentarily. But the point is, mother is material nature. Our mother is material nature. And Krishna is giving the seed. Similar to the bag of rice is the material nature, and the scorpion is laying eggs in that. And then babies are coming out. It's not like material nature is causing the babies to come out. This is where most, if not all, of the scientific community is confused. They think that everything is coming from material nature, which is not true, not possible also. How can material nature do anything without the seed given by the Supreme Father? So, your father is Krishna, my father is Krishna, everybody's father is Krishna. You may have a material father, but that's just consequential. Just like there has to be some vehicle locally to deploy you. So that local deployment is happening through your material father and mother. But original father is always Krishna. If you fail to recognize that or act on that principle, then we'll keep on taking birth again and again and again. If we act on that principle and act according to Krishna's wish, then we will gradually be elevated to his realm or his planetary system. Karmana daiva naitrena jantur deho papatyare. There is this shloka in Shastra which says, based on karma and daiva netra. So, on the supervision of the Daiva or Supreme Lord Krishna. So, there are so many Devatas, but Krishna is called Devati Deva, or the Deva for the Devas. So, we may pray to Devas and Devas will pray to Krishna. So, why not bypass and directly go to Krishna? Because ultimately, Devatas are taking your prayers and passing on to Krishna. Any thoughts there? So now we are moving very fast because a lot of these concepts have been discussed in the past. Srila Prabhupada shifted left. Shifted left means he put everything in the first 6 or 7 chapters, that you are not necessarily hearing anything new. It's just the context is slightly different. But the same knowledge that we have been talking about in the previous 12 chapters is being regurgitated by Krishna from 13 through 18. But then with the ultimate focus of calling for our surrender. In the end, he will say, Sarvadharma Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. But if you don't surrender, what will happen? You will not interfere. You will say, okay, better luck like next lifetime, and continue your journey. You will not really feel too emotional about it. But next lifetime, you may have more viruses, not just corona. It could be so many other things, right? Let's see if the statistics have updated. In YouTube, Bhakti Vikas Swami has put together a video on corona, and he said, I can die, you can die, doesn't matter, anybody can die with this, but our focus should be on the eternal. All right, eternal means what? On the Krishna. So we should focus on our chanting rather than worry about who is dying and when we will die. Okay, so now the substantial matter for this chapter, the three gunas are being outlined. Actually, three gunas are discussed throughout Bhagavad Gita, but this is the starting point. This is like the Wuhan, where everything starts. The three modes of material nature are discussed in this chapter. Okay, Sattvam.
Prabhu, I think we missed one.
Did we miss one?
No, Prabhu. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, we are 14.5, right? So we finished 4. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Sattvam,
Sattvam,
Rajas,
Rajas,
Tama,
Tama,
Iti,
Iti,
Gunaham,
Gunaha,
Prakriti,
Prakriti,
Sambhavaham,
Sambhavaha,
Nibadnanti,
Nibadnanti,
Mahabaho,
Mahabaho,
Dehe,
Dehe,
Dehinam,
Dehinam,
Avyayam,
Avyayam.
Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. You all are familiar with this because I have said at least 1,000 times over the course of last 3 years when we started this. These three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. Sattva guna, Rajoguna, and Tamo guna. When the eternal living entity like you and me comes in contact with nature, oh mighty armed Arjuna, Krishna is saying, he becomes conditioned by these modes. So Krishna will not be conditioned, but all of us will be conditioned. Because Krishna doesn't belong to this system. He comes from outside the system just to give us knowledge and he'll go back again. So sometimes people say Krishna himself is under the three modes. That is foolishness. Just like if you put some equipment on your table and you start mixing chemicals to do a chemistry experiment. Are you the experiment? No, you are outside the experiment. So you may mix two chemicals, they slowly start getting fumes and color changes of the chemical, but you are not affected, right? So similarly, Krishna is not affected because he is outside this system. We are affected, we are conditioned. Okay, Disha Mataji, are you there online? Who is the iPhone S2?
Sanskriti.
Okay, Sanskriti. Okay, Sanskriti, can you read this?
Which verse, Prabhuji?
Just look on the screen. Or if you don't have the screen, it is 14.5, 14.5.
In this, the living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material nature, he is acting under the spell of the three modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of the varieties of happiness and distress.
Yeah. So, living entity is transcendental, means the jiva, the soul, does not come into these three modes, just like Krishna doesn't, even the Jiva doesn't. But then why are we going through this suffering and distress? It is written here. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies. Like we have different kinds of bodies. Some of us are in male, some are in female. Some are North Indian, some are South Indian, some are West Indian, or from different parts of the world. And therefore, we are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of happiness and varieties of happiness and distress. So why are we going through certain happiness? Because we are in one kind of body, the body is giving certain kind of distress, like somebody has toothache, ear pain, back pain, and somebody's happy, somebody's sad due to so many things that are happening around them. Why? All because we have accepted different kinds of bodies. So we should say, I will not accept a body anymore. I will be liberated. That is a pretty tall order. You know what tall order means? It's like pretty difficult, but you have to try. I will not accept a body again. I will be liberated. One has to come to that firm conviction. Otherwise, you'll take birth again. Simple. You have to be like firmly say, no, I will serve Krishna in this lifetime and will not take birth again. You have to come to that firm condition. And time is running out. So we have somewhere between 14 days and maybe 14 years to live on this planet. That's it. So 14 days if some major disease comes, and 14 years if you go through your natural cycle, right? After that, who knows? Everything after 50, 55 is a bonus on this planet, right? So it's not like everybody will live till 120 or everybody wants to live till 120. Body functions will stop. You know, ear will stop working, nose will stop working. Like one of my relatives was saying the other day, he's like 58. He says he cannot even taste food that much, right? Whether I give him sweet or sour, he just puts in the mouth, that's it. Because there is hunger in the stomach, he just puts in the mouth, that's it. He has no distinguishing between the taste, all right? So as we grow old, you will not even taste anything. So what's the point of hanging around here? Okay, let's move on. 14.6. Tatra sattvam
Tatra sattvam
nirmalatvat
nirmalatvat
prakashakam
prakashakam
anamayam
anamayam
sukasangena
sukasangena
bhadnati
vadnati
jnanasangena
jnanasangena
chanagam
jnanaga
nirmalatvat. Nirmal means calm. So sattvam, the mode of goodness, will put you into a calm state. And prakash means putting light on some subject. Right? People say, right? Can you throw some light on this topic? That is what it is. So prakashakam. So there will be light thrown on this topic when you are calm in this mode of goodness. Sukha sangena. So you become happy. You are conditioned by happiness. So if you're happy, then you don't take the next step of getting liberated. You'll say, it's okay, TK. I know I won't do bad things like eating meat, drinking alcohol, you know, having sex with somebody other than my spouse, or doing gambling or stocks or this or that, right? Jnana sangena chanaga. So that is the type of knowledge. So you'll be conditioned by the knowledge. So Krishna says, "O sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than others is illuminating. It frees one from sinful reactions." those situated in the mode become conditioned by Sukha Sangena, happiness, and Jnana Sangena, knowledge. So you have a little bit of knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, little bit of, knowledge about going to temple. And you say, okay, this is sufficient. I will not take it further. I will not get out of this box. So then you have boxed yourself in mode of goodness box. Some people box themselves in passion. Some people box themselves in mode of ignorance. So Krishna is not putting you in that. Even Mother Nature is not putting you in that. You are putting yourself in these boxes. So now do you want to come out? That's up to you. All right. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jeev jago, Gora Chand bole, Kota nidra jao maya, Pisachi rakole. So Jeev means soul, jago. Wake up, O soul. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. Right? So you can go to kksongs.org and look up by index. Jeev starts, Jago starts from J. So J, Jeev, Jago. So we have to wake up. See, so many songs that Acharyas have sung. Who reads Bhagavad Gita will come to this platform eventually. Of course, because we are so much conditioned, even after reading for so many years, we won't come to that platform. But eventually we may. Let's keep the hope. Kota Nidra means we are doing sleeping. What are we sleeping? We are sleeping in the lap of Maya Devi, who is like a Pishashi. We are sleeping, thinking everything's okay, theek hai, sab kuch theek hai. Like that, right? We are not trying to get out. Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up sleeping souls, wake up sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the world of birth and death. That's what my Guru Maharaj says. If you sing these Acharya songs, all the philosophy is there in the songs. Right? So after reading the Bhagavad Gita, all you have to do is just sing these songs and act on that platform. If you act on that platform, that's it. Your liberation is ready and waiting for you. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion. People are worried about wiping out coronavirus, but this illusion is a worse disease. It's a bigger disease from which we are all suffering. Take this Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I fall at the Lord's feet, having taken this Maha Mantra. Right? Tomare loito ami hoinu avatar. I came for you, you sleeping souls. I took avatar just for you. Tomare loito ami hoino avatar. Ami bindu, ami bina bandhu, are ke ache tomar. So there is no better bandhu than me. You may think that my wife will protect me, my husband will protect me. But what can we protect? We cannot even protect ourselves. Forget protecting other people. Right? Can you protect yourself if something major happens? No. We all go through surgeries. We all go through accidents. We cannot protect ourselves. We think we can, but we cannot. So therefore, we have to take shelter of our bandhu. Our main bandhu is Krishna. Okay. Swati Mataji, read this.
Okay. The purport. The living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entities' conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of the goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by the material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be the situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientist and the philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them born by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant.
Yeah, just like Swati Mataji has done MBA in this lifetime from one university, next lifetime I can do MBA in Harvard or MIT. Like, so what happens in the mode of goodness? We are conditioned to doing the same thing again and again. But because what happens, we are improving our lifestyle, right? We generally improve our living conditions. We feel a sense of material happiness. Yes, I have an MBA. Yes, I work at company X, Y, and Z. I have won this award, Best Employee Award. In this way, we just get stuck here. You may not be eating meat, you may not be drinking alcohol, you may not be doing all the gross, bad stuff, but still you can get stuck here. That is the danger with mode of goodness. Mode of ignorance, of course, is horrible because you are guaranteed to be stuck. Here, at least there is some hope because these people are advanced in knowledge. They can be better than others. In a way, they are actually better than others because they're advanced in knowledge. But they get stuck. That's the point. And what has happened? They also become very proud. I know this. I can chant some shlokas. I can wear a sari nicely compared to some of the Western girls who are walking in strange clothes. Right? I can wear a dhoti very nicely like that. So we are very proud of, we get stuck somewhere and not make further progress. This is the unfortunate part. Greater knowledge and greater sense of happiness. So Brahmana is supposed to be in the mode of goodness. Right? Brahmanas always are in the mode of goodness because they don't do any of these four bad stuff. Always reading Patana, Patana, Yajana, Yajana. reading and teaching others, doing yajna, participating in the yajna. They are closer to the Lord, but they have not come to the platform of getting liberated. Of course, if the Brahmanas are not guaranteed to get liberated, what about ordinary software employees like us, right? So we have more work to do from Krishna's perspective. Now he describes Rajogun. Repeat. Rajo
Rajo
Ragatmakam
Raga
Ragatmakam
Vidhi
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 Krishna
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 Sangam
Sangha
Samudbhavam
Samudbhav
Samudbhavam
Tannibadnati
Tannibad
Tannibadnati
Kaunteya
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 Karma Sangena
Karma
Karma Sangena
Dehinam.
Dehina
Dehinam.
So again, most of us actually fall into this more than the mode of goodness. We may have touches of mode of goodness, but we will fall into this. For example, if I say to Sudhakar Prabhu, come for Nagar Sankirtan. No Prabhu, too much work in Microsoft. That is Rajogun. Right? Ragatmakam means raga. We have attraction to something, right? Like our wealth, career, car, house, whatever it might be, making more money. We are all in the same boat. America, by definition, is in mode of passion. Trishna Sangha. When a deer is walking in the desert, it will see some mirage. It looks like water is there 1 kilometer away. Then it will walk 1 kilometer. Again, it looks like 1 kilometer away. In this way, this Rajoguna, it never gets satisfied. Right? Like people say, okay, I'll go to America, make 100,000, I'll come back. And they may have 500,000 or $1 million home, still they're not ready to go back. Right? Not that going back to India is important, but that's the point, right? When you're in Rajogun, the destination keeps on going, right? Like some of our devotees, they started with 1 house, went to 2 house, 3 house, 4 house. One devotee has 6 houses. Do you think it will stop? Any answers? Do you think it will stop?
No, Prabhu.
No. Why? Because now they got the taste for it, right? They'll take loan on the 5th house and buy a 6th house. Take a loan on the 5th and 6th house and buy a 7th house. This way you can keep on increasing your wealth. It is possible actually. It's not like it's not possible. If you are very careful, every 2 or 3 years you can buy a new house with the rental income coming from existing houses. But then whole life you will be only calculating houses. Then you'll forget Krishna at some point. And this is also Nibadnati. Badnati means what? Means binding. You are being tied with a rope. Even in the previous verse, let's go to previous verse. Krishna uses the term Badnati. Sukha Sangena Badnati means tied up. Tied up by mode of goodness. And now tied up by mode of passion. Tannibadnati Kaunteya Karma Sangena Dehinam. That was Sukha Sangena. Remember? Previous verse. Riya, do you remember?
Prabhu Riya slept, Prabhu.
Riya left. Why?
He slept, Prabhu.
Slept? Okay, not left. Okay, good. the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound by material fruitive actions. So all of us are in mode of passion. And if we don't get out of this mode of passion, there's no question of getting liberated. Luckily, we are not in mode of ignorance. We have come from ignorance to passion and we got stuck there. And once in a while, we may come to goodness and we may get stuck there also. I mean, learning the Shastra, getting good knowledge, but then we may get stuck there also. So we have to get out. If we don't get out, we'll take birth again. Simple. So Vijay Mataji, please read purport.
The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly
Yeah,
stated.
please pause there for a minute. Please pause there for a minute.
Okay, Prabhu.
So this defines what? 99.9999% of the entire world. Right?
Yes, Prabhu.
We want honor, society or nation, happy family, nice children, house, this, that. These are products of mode of passion. So we were taught when we were young that you have to study well, you have to work hard, you have to go engineering college, then get a good job, have a nice house, good children. But Krishna is cutting all these things down in one shot. He's saying all this is nonsense, Baba. So whatever you have been taught for the last 35, 40 years, Krishna is cutting down with one stroke. He's saying this is not a qualification, right? So now you have to do a lot of relearning. Whatever you know until this point, Krishna is saying, ah, this is all nonsense, man. Just put it aside. Now I'll teach you something different. So let's open it for discussion. Any thoughts on this statement?
But as a family, when we do devotional for service, then it's okay, right, Prabhu? So as long as we
Okay, but how many people are doing devotion?
very less.
0.0000001% are doing devotional, right? Everybody else is trying to have a happy family in a bigger house. And for that, you have to work very hard. So it's not free.
And most
Working
of the
hard is
people,
okay, but if you work so hard that you don't have time. Yeah, go ahead.
no, like most of the people living like in a passion mode is the way to live. Like if I talk to my cousins or friends or someone, like if there is no passion, they think there is like it's a wasting their life. So
Because they're in passion, పచ్చ కామరుల వాళ్ళకి లోకమంతా పచ్చగా కనపడుతుందని. So if you are in mode of passion, you think that is the right thing, right?
yeah.
So everybody else look like a fool. Mode of goodness fellow will look like a fool, and somebody who is transcendental, who is dedicated their life for Krishna or God consciousness, they'll think that these people are fool. Arey, this fellow could have made so much money. Why did he quit this job and become a devotee, a full-time devotee, right? Like that. Yeah, 100% agree with you, Swati Mataji. They'll think everybody else is a fool. Same thing, mode of ignorance fellow is thinking everybody else is a fool. He'll say, Arey, what are these people? Why are they going to office? Why do they want a nice house with children? Why can't they be me like me? Every day take some marijuana and sleep on the street. That fellow is also thinking that he's a genius. Everybody else is a fool. So, yeah. Okay, continuing. as long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Right now, how hard we are working, right? Working during the day, working during the night. Therefore, it is clearly stated that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and becomes bound by such activities. But of course, after working hard, if you give away your money in charity, you are not bound anymore. So you can earn $1 billion and give away. Right?
But
In order to please his wife, children, and society.
but that money, if it earned like not in a good way, so it will be like so much harm for the society, like already it will be done. So even by the giving the charity, so
that's why it is better to live simply, right? You could become a billionaire and then you give your money and then somebody misuses that money, you'll get 50% of the karma. So then you'll be in a worse off situation than before. But of course, if you use it for devotional activities, then that's fine. You can build one more temple. Every one of us should build a temple in our lifetime, somewhere quite far from each other, so that other people can also benefit and then teach. So we should, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Janma Sarthaka Karo, Karo Paropakar. Means we have to improve our own life. Sarthak Karo, Karo Paropakar means do upakaram to others by teaching them Krishna knowledge, not like teaching them biology or chemistry. Like one devotee was telling, oh, I teach mathematics to all the kids so that they can do good in SAT. How is that going to help, right? Instead, teach Bhagavad Gita. You may not know much, but at least a little bit if you teach, somebody will benefit. Right? This is the gist of Bhagavad Gita. We have been taught to work very hard for the first 30-35 years of our life. And now we are coming to Krishna consciousness. Somebody is telling us do exactly different, something different, opposite. Work hard for Krishna. Now in activities aligned with Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada says, the whole world is more or less in the mode of passion. It's nothing to do with India or America, everybody, right? In India, somebody is saying, okay, I'll get a small, cart, put one stove on top and I'll make dosas for the people who are walking by. I'll make maybe 100 rupees a day. That's okay. I mean, whether you're making 100 rupees a day or 100 million a day, you're still in the mode of passion, right? Ignoring the real truth. So modern civilization is considered to be advanced in standard of mode of passion. So people are comparing, oh, you only bought Tesla Model 3, I got Tesla Model X. So both are in mode of passion, but they are competing on who is able to be more in the mode of passion, right? And even in our devotee circles, it is happening, unfortunately. So formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. So at least we should come to the mode of goodness, where we are evaluating ourselves by how calm and contented we are and in pursuit of spiritual knowledge. Because in the mode of goodness, when you pursue spiritual knowledge, you can take the next step. You don't get double promotion. From passion, you skip goodness and directly go to Shuddha Sattva or pure goodness. No double promotion. So passion people will come to goodness and goodness people will go to pure goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in mode of passion? Right? This is about us. Prabhupada has just given us the most important statement. Goodness lo unna vallaki dikku lekapothe passion lo unna vallu em chestaru. Right? So we will be stuck if we do not quickly come to mode of goodness.
But Prabhu, like passion is the thing that even maybe like even if they're doing the devotion, come to the temple also. So it's not that easy, like to go away, to get rid of that passion, right? So maybe some, like they say that even if they're um, doing some service in the temple, they'll expect like how here in like people like how they work for like honor in the society, like Prabhupada is given. They expect like honor, and they want some like appreciation. So but we'll see here also, right, Prabhu? So it's very hard to get rid of that.
Yeah, actually, like I went to San Diego temple, everybody enters, rings the bell, takes darshan, sits in a corner and chat. But if you look at the culture in our temple, everybody's trying to show off, right? Oh, my daughter got this much in SAT score. Oh, I bought this new car, this, that. So we are trying to get honor in the society, even in the temple. But that is because we are highly passionate in Seattle, all working for tech companies, right? But I didn't see the same behavior in other temples. I didn't see that in San Diego. Even in Dallas, I didn't see that mentality. Here, surprisingly, we have inculcated that mentality, right? People exchange each other's cell phone numbers. Oh, I'll give you a call. I'm trying to get into this. Can you give me some material advice? Like, one Mataji, she used to come to our Saturday batch maybe 3.5 years ago. She said, Rosie, there's something important to talk. I said, wow, somebody actually wants to talk about something spiritual. He came and said, Prabhuji, for my son, we want to send to the SAT training. There is one center in Redmond. Should I send him there or Bellevue? Where should I send him? That is their philosophical question. So, I mean, after millions of lifetime, you have come in contact with Krishna consciousness. Instead of taking benefit of the spiritual knowledge available, people want to know how they can send their son to a better college. And then I met his son. His son was like, he pulled out his hand and was trying to shake my hand. I said, fold your hands and say namaste, say Hare Krishna. don't shake my hand like a regular karmi guy, right? So this is what's happening. Unfortunately, mode of passion has also attacked our temple. We have to get rid of it. I mean, you are at least a little bit more advanced, people who come to this class, because you have some knowledge, right? You're reading the Bhagavad Gita daily. Most people, they don't read the Bhagavad Gita, right? They just come in, take darshan, go for prasadam, and then start talking about mode of passion topics. I did this, you did that. So, yeah, I mean, philosophy is there. Doesn't mean everybody is practicing it. This philosophy is not for everyone, right? First, we should practice our own thing. Janma sarthaka karo, karo paropakar. First, we have to fix ourselves. So forget what others are doing. If the people in this class can fix themselves, my mission is accomplished. Right? So each one of us should focus on ourselves first. Then you can try to save the world or do whatever. So you may see a lot of incorrect behavior, but then who are you to correct them, right? You just focus on yourselves and correct yourself. Focus on, the knowledge is there very clearly in black and white. So we just have to implement it. That's about it. Okay. Now we are coming to mode of ignorance. This is even worse than the previous one. Okay. Tamastva
Tamastva
Ajnanajam
Ajnanajam
Vidhi
Vidhi
Mohanam
Mohanam
Sarvadehinam
Sarvadehinam
Pramadhalasya
Pramadalasya
Nidrabhis
Nidrabhis
Nibadnati
Tannibadnati
Bharata
Bharata.
O son of Bharata, Bharata, O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. So, in the mode of ignorance, we talk like a madman. We'll call right thing as wrong, wrong thing as right, indolence, and sleep. Like, sometimes even in the temple, people come for 5, 6, 7 years and still argue, why is meat eating bad? Right? We have been telling it is bad, and you have been coming to this temple for so many years. Why can't you understand the basic fact? Right? Like that. Or, hey, why can't we play video games? Kids always ask this question, right? Well, it is not in mode of goodness. That's why. If you still want to play, what can we do? So this is a delusion. Delusion means, let's do a keyword search on what delusion is. An idiosyncratic belief that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality. So reality is that you are not the body, you are the soul, but delusion means you are strictly working on the bodily platform. I have to eat meat, I have to drink alcohol, I have to do this, I have to do that, right? Like that. So that is delusion. So, Vijay Mataji, read the purport.
In this verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what, but the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yatatnya jnana varakam viparyaya jnana janakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die, so death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in the spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance.
So, a lot of good points. Opposite to mode of goodness, right? Everyone under the spell of mode of ignorance becomes mad and cannot understand what is what, and become degraded, right? Actually, there is so many opportunities to get degraded, right? Like even in India, if you're going on the road, just looking at the movie posters itself will degrade your mind. just looking at the posters. And then you look at the movies, you'll get further degraded. Then the mind gets pulled into that cesspool or whirlpool of going down. So mind has to be elevated, but on the contrary, it gets pulled down. So we know that our relatives have died. Someday we will also die. But people are working day and night, not caring for eternal spirit. When they're invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they're not very much interested. Just as I was saying, somebody sent in decline. They took the time to actually decline this Bhagavad Gita class, right? So even though there is somebody willing to give and there is nothing else to do, if they go outside in Seattle, they'll catch corona, but still they don't come to this class. Sleep, we are all guilty of this. We sleep more than required actually. 6 hours is sufficient, but we sleep more. It's unnecessary, but we sleep more. Okay, we'll stop there for today and we will do a 1 round of japa. Any questions before we do japa? Not even one?
For children also, Prabhuji, 6 hours is required, or children can sleep a little bit more?
Children can sleep 8 hours, but once they cross 16 or 17, 6 hours is sufficient. Because for
Thank you.
kids, brain development, they have to sleep a little bit more.
Prabhu, I have a question in the KK songs.
Hmm.
So these songs, is there anywhere in YouTube or a video of how to sing the song?
Yeah, there are a lot of people who sing these songs that are on YouTube, right? Like for example, Jeev Jago, in the song itself, it is like if you are a musician, then you have to sing in Raga Jinjoti or in the Kaherva Tala. There are various talas, right? There are various raga, tala, ragam, talam, palam, right? So, or Rag Bangla in a different tala, Dadri tala. So, but none of us are really skilled at these talas. We don't want to waste time in that one. So you just hear something on YouTube and then just sing that song. And again, I've seen these songs being sung in various tunes. Like some people sing very fast. Gora Chand Bole. And some people go very slow. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Gora Chand Bole. So forget the style. The concept is more important. Again, this is not a song, right? This is trying to impress upon you. Wake up, you sleeping souls. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. How long will you sleep? Wake up to the reality that you are a soul and participate in that. Which means a substantial change in our lifestyle should come about. It's not just theoretical, right? Substantial change means just like Vednarayan Prabhu used to live in Seattle. He quit his job and he's preaching now. He preaches to like 150 kids in local schools and all that. I mean, he had a very good job, but he quit and went. So there are people who will take this seriously. There are people who take it casually, and there are people who will not take it up at all. Right? Some people say, "Oh, this is all fairy tale." Those people will not believe in anything actually. They'll just keep on going from one thought to the other. So if we get serious, it is good. I mean, at least you should give it a shot, right? It's not like you dismiss it. You have to give it a shot and see how things will pan out.
And
Any
this
other
one,
questions?
this Jiva Jago, like maybe like Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, like he sang for Madhva's band. So I like that the way Maharaj sang. Maybe if Prabhu want to look in YouTube, you can
Really?
just check.
Sarvana, you could probably look it up.
Yes, sure, Prabhu. Thanks, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have one thought.
Yeah.
So I was just evaluating that the three gunas and trying to find out where I fit. So it's not that we fall in just one bucket. So some of the activities that we do falls under Sattva guna, some of them falls under Rajos, and some of them falls under Tamas. Probably we should see what are the Tamas and Rajos activities that we do and stop them, or just try to move away from them and start doing more of Sattva guna activities.
Yeah, the latter. You should reduce the amount of Rajoguna activities and move to more Sattva guna activities. Because, in 2003 to 2005, like whenever they used to call me for Microsoft parties, I used to work for Microsoft then. I used to go to all those. Then as I understood this philosophy more and more, I come up with an excellent excuse every time. So they stopped calling me only. Right? Sometimes I say, I have so much work to do. Sometimes I say, oh, I have family activity. There's that. Then I just don't go do Rajoguna activities, right? Immediately come home and do chanting or reading a Prabhupada book or watching a video on YouTube. Nowadays, like the benefit we have compared to previous generations is YouTube has everything, right? Like just before the class, I went here for my spiritual master singing. He sings in a very different tune. This Yadi Gaur na hoito, tabe ki hoito, like that. So you can watch. There are hundreds and thousands of videos that you can watch. So again, get back into mode of goodness. And your specific question, are we in a little bit in each bucket? That is the subject matter for next class. I have saved that for next class. The verses are coming.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhu.
Nobody is in pure ignorance, except if you are a scorpion body. Not you, but some sinful fellow can become a scorpion. That is a pure ignorance thing. Because even if you give scorpion nice rasgulla, it will still bite you. Because it's in mode of ignorance. Or a snake, right? Even if you give it nice milk, it will still bite you.
Right.
So mode of ignorance cannot, human beings are not in pure mode of ignorance. Even the guy is doing Dhammaradam, in various situations, still not in pure mode of ignorance. They have some charitable nature sometimes. They will give charity to the, people who are poorer than them, like that, right? So yeah, it is like a sinusoidal wave. Sometimes we are up, sometimes we are down, right? You know this wave theory?
Yes, Prabhu. Goes ups and downs.
Yeah. See this? Go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's not like you are continuously in mode of ignorance either. After a while, you get sick and tired of that, and then you come to mode of goodness. You stay there for a little while, and again you get attracted to mode of ignorance, like that. So, yeah, all this theory is there. Even in modern science, all this theory is there actually. But people fail to see the connection with Krishna. Right, I'll show you one article that I was reading about consciousness. The fellow had very, very good, approaches, except that he fails to recognize Krishna. Not this guy, because I do a lot of consciousness research myself. In academia.edu, I download a number of articles about consciousness. This fellow is too mathematical. This one, I think, yeah. Consciousness Revolution in Science. there is infinite learning opportunity once you come into Krishna consciousness. He talks about consciousness through physics, right? Some guy, James Bakler, maybe he's a professor somewhere. So he uses all this, how a single field splits into different fields using various tensors, space-time splits. Then he comes to, he's probably Jewish, so he used the Jewish tree of Shifa, where crown, insight, wisdom, mercy, beauty, what are the interactions. There are all some very good things in the Jewish tradition. Then he kind of brings everything together. The unfortunate part is most of these people don't talk about God as a person because they're all Mayavadis. So they talk about all these energies, but where are the energies coming from? They are coming from an energetic, right? For example, you draw a painting and I like your painting, but I ignore you. What good is that, right? And then you see how there is nothingness of absolute void. It's like the complete Mayavadi thing. Singularity of the universe, how it morphs into a void with virtual three-dimensionalness, and then primal awareness and tries to unfold into void, and then finally how we relate to our universe like that. So a lot of good concepts actually. There is one particularly nice picture that I liked from his research. Yeah. So body is like an antenna, right? Material body. There is a state of higher consciousness called Turiya. The heart, the strongest vectors are there. There, of course, the soul is there at the heart. That's why he calls that strong vectors. But he doesn't use the term soul or anything like that, right? He comes to his own conclusions. He says there is a higher consciousness of the self. There is a B field of lower consciousness. There is an E field of the mind. And then this is the spectrum, right? First, on the extreme left side, you have gut feelings. Extreme right side, ability to enter death fully cognizant of the new environment of higher reality. So he's talking about moksha without using the term moksha. Because if he uses moksha, then his paper will be considered religious, right? So he's saying new environment like that. So even scientists think about all these things. They are not fools, but they are missing the point. They do not come to Krishna. Okay, let's chant around now. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Advaita,
Shri
Shri
Advaita,
Gadadhara,
Gadadhara,
Shivasadi,
Srivasadi,